Excellent. Well, it is 2:00 p.m. and I am calling this meeting of the Parks, CSD Parks Recreation and Open Space Committee to order. And we have a quorum, 4 of the 5 committee members and myself are in attendance. I haven't heard from Mr. Barringer. We may see him, we'll see. But we do have a quorum with 4 of the committee members present. Currently on Zoom, we have Director Harry Farmer, we have Green Space Karen Argano, and from FFRP, we have Katie Connolly. Outstanding, more the better. And here, for the benefit of those on Zoom who can't see who's here, I guess you can on the owl, right? But just you know, we are maybe quick rounds. You know, Laura, just say hi and you know.
Hi, Laura.
Laura.
Dick Clark.
Alan
Dean Griffin. Shannon Sutherland.
Michael Thomas.
Herbert Johansson.
Jeff Wilson.
And we are off and running. Let's see, chair report, most likely, all right, good afternoon, Jeff. So we have a full quorum. So most likely, many or most of you listened to the lively discussion at the February 15 board meeting.
It was enlightening.
Regarding the pros committee goals. Excellent. So we will be discussing this in the regular business under the pros goals. So we'll get to our conversation about that at that point in time. And agenda review, given the extent of comments that we'll be dealing with under the discussion of pros committee goals, I thought it might be to Kitty's advantage if we were to discuss the East Ranch restroom location first, and then the pros committee goals. Yeah, I mean, that's not Kitty's biggest issue, but does that sound okay to everybody? 12 those, sure. I predict that'd be a relatively easy conversation, but one never knows. Be careful about predicting the future. It hasn't happened yet. Yeah, ad hoc committee reports. Shannon?
Signage, nothing new to report.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk on the East Ranch Community Park Ad Hoc Committee. The committee's met, and that is Shannon Sutherland, Jeff Wilson, and myself. We've met twice since our last pros committee meeting. And we're meeting again next Thursday. We're moving forward the project viability matrix, assessing each of the potential components of the community park versus a range of decision criteria. So, hello, Julie. You're here at this point.
Interrupt.
Yeah, this is probably good news that you're here.
Well, I wish. I don't know. We just came from the San Simeon University.
Yeah, we'll hear about that. So, yeah, and the committee's meeting with the landscape architect. I believe it's next Thursday, the 7th, week from Thursday, to have a look at the Thursday after next. I don't know. Anyway, on the 7th of March to look at the drawings for first pass of the as-built on the community park. And open space, you know, it sounds like we all listened to the board meeting. We may need to slightly frame the ad hoc, but in any case, Jeff, on the open space, for now, I want to call it open space inventory ad hoc committee.
Yes, well, I mean, this came about as a result of our walk through Fern Canyon, and not sure where we go with this after the goals. Sort of a conversation we have, but right now there's nothing to report since that was established. but David and I will be working on that, should that progress.
Yeah, no doubt it will, and
Okay,
in some slightly modified.
yeah, I wasn't sure.
And now, Laura's here and must be Crosby on the computer.
Yeah,
And David is also on now. And yes, so
Okay, so I have a question on the Fern Canyon, the meeting that you guys have. What I wanted to make sure is that they know that there's 3 manhole covers there. And I don't know if you can access the other ones from the top, from the very top one, so you don't have to go in quite as much. But there's a manhole cover right at the top where the sign is on Campbell's. Okay, and in that, maybe that would help. Instead of widening the trails quite so much to be able to access it that way. The other thing is there's a lot of erosion right there that's probably affecting your manhole cover. And I don't know if the CCSD or if the county or somebody can do with that area because it's eventually going to ruin the trail. We have actually put in some rocks and stuff, my husband and I, a while ago, to keep the erosion stopping. But it's so heavy, it just washes out, but it's gonna ruin your trail. And there's also some work being done there with concrete blocks that we have nothing to do with. We didn't do that, my husband and I. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Laura, when you say concrete, you mean like a concrete abutment that's being like formed in place and poured there?
No.
Or someone's just kind of hand moving?
No, no, it's concrete blocks.
Okay.
And they have it because the drainage from RDAP is what's coming down and it just rushes down and you saw the damage down there. And so I guess it's the local residents, they have kind of widened the ditch and then they put,
Just put some retaining wall stone, basically like from Home Depot or Miners.
yeah, and they're just kind of placed in a funky way. And I just didn't want us to take credit for it.
No, we wouldn't think that.
So I guess that's my question, but the thing is that, you know, we all realize that we have to have our sewer system taken care of and to do it minimally as possible because it's such a beautiful area. And that's our plea. And the other thing too is, I guess, you know, if you work in a creek, there's all kinds of ordinances that you have to have other government agencies in on. So you can't just you just can't go gung ho with the thing. Just do it, but do it as gently as possible. That's my comment.
excellent. And yeah, that definitely falls within the kind of open space inventory, like what are we gonna do? And yeah, so, and Jeff, I gather you're, you know, there's probably gonna be, you know, okay, let's go out on the site and walk through and, you know,
Yeah.
let's plans are in place.
I mean, David and I spoke at length after, and David, I know you're on, so if you wanna chime in here, but spoke at length. About, I'll just call it maybe, for lack of a better word, the upper Fern Creek partition, because there's another whole section of Fern Creek, as you know, further towards Highway 1, which is another can of worms, but nonetheless, for this particular upper, that given the number of different issues associated with it and considerations that David and me and you guys, wastewater, water would need to collaborate to build a sort of an approach to how we can best serve the needs, the multiple needs associated with Fern Canyon, starting with the upper Fern Canyon. And so that's what David and I we're going to begin to work with and reach out to you, honestly, Tristan and Jim, and talk with you guys about how we can sort of collaboratively work together to build a plan and make a recommendation to the board. So that's where we stand as one, probably like the primary, the initial project under this open space ad hoc committee.
Cool, and Laura, Jeff, on pros, you know, Jeff will be the point of contact.
Right.
Feel free, and go ahead.
The other thing is the person to include would probably be the San Luis Obispo Conservancy to get Dylan in on it because it's very specific. You can't take trees out even to help the sewer system. There's all kinds of ordinances and protections for that. So everybody needs to be on board with that, and hopefully, my husband and I, as the forest committee, would also be invited to that, because we're very, very familiar with that area.
No, that's the plan.
And David, I know we talked about that again when we were at Fern Canyon, and that you've been actively engaged with Dylan at the Conservancy and are very well aware of the easement and the concerns and considerations that the Conservancy has. So I don't know.
Yeah, they're definitely on a first-name basis.
Yeah, so yes.
And, yeah, if David had something to comment, he'd have his hand up, so we'll just roll on.
Okay.
Yeah, so no hand means, nice job, Jeff, I'm sure. That's it for ad hoc. And by the way, I've got on the agenda review, and following up, great ideas, Steve, you had the idea in the first place. The discussion on the topic where we get input from FFRP, Green Space et al. For their predictability, we're just gonna start that at 2:15 p.m. So wherever we're at in the flow of things, we'll stop so that when they don't have time to attend the whole meeting, they can jump in and jump out. Yeah, it's courtesy. So committee member communications. FYI, thinking about before we jump in, the last month, we created a set of goals, and those are under discussion. But when we get to those goals in regular business, we're going to dive into each of those areas. I know at the last meeting, during committee member communications, pretty much everybody talked about everything they needed to talk about related to those goals. So let's not do it twice. Let's hold, if it's in that set of goals, let's hold that discussion till we get to that topic. So that we don't do it twice. It makes it a lot easier to record actions from that. Brings us to, oh yeah, I'm sorry. And then, so what other committee member communications are there with that being said?
Okay, I've got what, 3 minutes here? First of all, it's got to do with the upcoming or the 5-year plan. San Luis Obispo County has a 5-year plan. They have it put out every year for 5 years future, and all the projects in it. It's in the millions. It's got lots and lots of money. When you look at it's broken down into things like parks, recreation, infrastructure, and they split it out here where you have little project facilities by functional area and public safety, historical, the general government gets 38%, airports get 20, health and services, public safety 24, parks 19. I'm not even sure where, I guess general government gets roads. But in the facility projects by community, that's a breakout. And you have San Luis Obispo got 38 pastoral 4, Preston 1, Countywide 2, County Operations Center, Cayucas 3, Cambria 1, California Valley 2, Avila Beach 2, on and on. It goes on. Nepoma got 5. Now, that's just in that one category. But the interesting thing, and what I'm curious about is how does Cambria interface with this? Now, the nice thing about this, when it has a whole appendix in the back, and it's just breaking out all sorts of money. Public Works Santa Rosa, we get for Cambria, which I assume is our big lot here, we get Santa Rosa Creek stabilization slope failure, which we get about $2 million for. And that's one of our big prizes. All that stuff is, 2 miles up the road where they're starting to patch that San Simeon Creek. And I'd say that's county. Napomo, on the other hand, got like $8 million for a park and $3 million for a skate park. So that's the law. We should have done that instead of on the other.
Took them 8 years.
Write that down.
Yeah. No, I think about it.
And so the question I have, our little prizes are besides the Santa Rosa Creek stabilization, is Burton Drive improvements. That's it. Walkway, and they've got like 649,000, and that was the cheap alternatives, and they haven't reworked it, so it's still sitting in there. but it does say subject to funding, which means dead on arrival. And the other two we have that are Cambria is Parks and Recreation, replace Shamble Park Playground. So that's subject to funding, that it's 115,000 if it ever got funded. And that's pretty much it. So I think there was. So, but my point is, we don't get a lot of money out of this. And we probably should, and I don't know, does CCSU pay attention to this 5-year plan?
We're about to,
Should,
yeah,
Because
because if they
that's-
already sent this to us, or if not, then it's in it.
this is, I didn't send it because it's 59 pages. And, but it's on the county website, and I can send around just, if you just go to Public Works and it looks under 5-year plan, it can fall right into it. It goes on and on and on. The next thing,
So we'll make that, we'll get that link and make it in the agenda.
I think we need, to me, this ought to be part of the 5, or the goals that what we do. When there was a comment about, oh, we shouldn't worry about things in the future, we need to look down at the ground and see what we got. And I'll bitch about that later. The other one I have is upcoming, it's a new bond issue for laws and laws and money. And this is one of these things that's going to be on voting, I think, probably in the next election on November. And they're going to, for our bait for us, is we have $10 million to spend on roads. And they picked, they just threw in the intersection roads, the 5 and 4 intersection documents that we had, and then the trail down the hill. Everything that isn't funded goes into there. And I would suggest that we also take this time to influence what categories in there, because that's the only time we're going to see this money. And after they put in a 0.5-cent rise in sales tax, you're going to see another bond issue for quite some time. So we better, recreation, if we're going to, or trails and whatever we have, we need to solve that thing pretty together. And it's a roads program, essentially, but it's also public works. The walkway is, it goes back into that, when they talk about, unincorporated Cambria, $10 million, road repairs, safety and congestion improvements to Burton, RDF, Maine, Windsor, Highway 1. Other unincorporated, 11 million, road repairs, safety improvements for all North Coast unincorporated areas, 6 million. Community road safety and congestion improvements, 5 million, safer, and that includes 5 routes for safe routes to school, public transportation for senior persons, disabilities, so forth.
So let's action that when we get into the goal that Steve has to lead. Now, I think Julie's pointing out that it's after 2:15.
No, I have a question for Kermit, actually, so,
Well, Julie, could you hold that?
yeah, of course.
Thank you very much. So I promised to 2:15-ish. So we'll come back to committee member reports, but let's kind of go through the list. Kitty is on, and Kitty, if you have, and each of those, Kitty and Karen, if you have something to report, go ahead and raise your hand. Yeah, there you go. Hand is raised, allowed to talk, and
Hello, pros.
hello, Kitty.
Thank you. Thank you for scheduling us. This is really helpful. Thanks a lot. So I'm happy to report a brief report on what's going on with FFRP. We've had some homeschoolers out on the ranch, and I'm happy to report there's a return to ice plant pulling scheduled for tomorrow, including Leffingwell High School students. And I gotta tell you, we're always happy to have young people, particularly moving those wheelbarrows. So that's a great thing. We did a tree planting on, I think on the 16th, or maybe it was the 9th. We did a tree planting recently for 100 trees that Green Space was kind enough to sell to us. So we got 100 trees in the ground, and we may very well get another 100 trees from Green Space. We're looking to temporarily relocate the nursery to Rancho Marino until the East Branch gets decided, and maybe there'll be space for the nursery there, but that looks like it's going to be a long, involved process, or y'all wouldn't be sitting around the table. Wildflower show is on the schedule for the 27th and 28th of April, so keep your eyes out for that. That's a really fun thing. That's all I have to report right now.
Awesome. Yeah, and if anyone's interested in a great CrossFit workout tomorrow morning, I'll be, Brian Morgan and I will be on the ranch at the north entrance with lots of wheelbarrows. And, the primary tool for ice plant removal is the pair of gloves. So y'all come, I'll put you to work. It's all right. So thanks, Corinne.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. Corinne from Green Space, thanks for having me. Like Kitty said, it's great that you schedule some time for us. We appreciate it. So what's going on at Green Space? So we're going to hold our big Earth Day celebration again on April 21st at our Creekside Reserve. Lots of new vendors. The theme this year is Planet versus Plastic. So we're super excited about that. Very relevant issue for all of us right now. We're doing a big focus on Strawberry Canyon the rest of this calendar year, improving some of the trails and flow. We got hit very hard, as many of you know, with last year's storms. And Strawberry Canyon is the center of a lot of our environmental education. So working on that and putting together some trail crews. So some of you may be getting a call out for volunteers. And we are finishing up our work at Creekside Reserve. Last calendar year was the Creekside Reserve signature project. We put in a really beautiful native plant demonstration garden. We'll have docents soon doing walks through there. We finished building our learning center, which will be both environmental education and community education, and we'll be kicking that off very soon. I'm excited about that. There'll be a ribbon cutting at Earth Day for both the Learning Center and the Native Plant Demonstration Garden. And our environmental ed program kicks off next month in March. So we're working with Leffingwell, the high school, the elementary school, the junior high, with field days and classroom days. So you might see us out and about. And we're going to make more use of Santa Rosa Creek this year. So we'll be at Creekside as well as at Strawberry Canyon. And that's my news.
Fantastic. Thanks, Corinne. And I forgot to ask for Kitty, but questions for Corinne or Kitty? So let's see who's on Zoom. I think that Skate Cambria. Julie, what's
I
you
did not
came to the
expect to
meeting.
be here, so
Yeah.
thank you for the time. We actually were at the San Simeon Tourism Board meeting, and all three of us just came from that. So some exciting things to report. We are moving obviously in the right direction with planning and permitting. We have a very important meeting in April. The district has been extremely mindful of the deadlines and more importantly, working with OCALs on getting the last of the requests from them. The grant is in very good shape. We'll tell the public nothing is 100% until we have the money in the bank. I think Michael will hear that. But this is about as close as you can get. They of course have some requirements they need out of us. Part of that had to do with tribal requests, and that has already been sent out by the district. In regards to funding, that of course is flush to what we have being held right now. So 1.2 million all in. We're very focused on reducing the liability right now. There's an email I just sent to Michael. And that is the 178 that was given by the district. We've now reduced that down to about 130,000 from the tourism grant that we got for 47,500. We were not successful today with San Simeon Tourism Board. They felt that this infrastructure was not within San Simeon, and so therefore their focus is what's taking place in San Simeon. We did frame this up, with every pun intended, to be the bathroom. That is why CTV leaned in. It's not necessarily about the state park, it's about taking care of $150,000 line item for the bathroom. But their answer was no. And I think it's an important conversation for the public to hear, because we are working very hard to reduce that liability to the taxpayer to make it as close to zero as possible. That's a $1.2 million infrastructure for zero. Now, there is administration time that has been gifted on behalf of the district, and we are very thankful for administration time, but it is not dollar. So I guess you could equate administration to dollar, of course you could. However, we spend a lot of dollars with legal counsel too, so I'm just going to add that. With that said, San Simeon Tourism was very kind in having us today, and we have another grant on the table. That's the Tony Hawk Foundation grant. We should be hearing from them shortly as their board meets. And then, of course, always welcome to answer any questions. We do have a fundraiser coming up. It'll be in June, and it's called Rhythms and Ramps, and it will be a music concert with food trucks. And that is in preliminary stages, and I'm actually going to be speaking with you, Jim, after this meeting. Is that great? Good time. So Rhythms and Ramps is what you'll see coming out of State Cambria next, to keep just everything relevant and in the public's view. We deeply want to thank the district, because there is a very fluid line of communication taking place between Jim and Tristan and myself and Matthew and the rest of our State Cambria team. So we're super thankful for all the communication, because it's critical happening with the county. And I'd like to give a shout out to Pam, who is our rep with Planning Solutions, who takes a very heavy load on getting this infrastructure properly placed within the county. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, you're not gonna win them all, but if you were in the, if this were baseball, your batting average would be MVP,
Thank
right?
you.
Laura?
Thank you.
Yeah, I did have one question. With all these rains, it's very obvious that the hill above the library and potentially above the skate park is very, very unstable. Are there funds allocated to take care of that?
Yes.
Yeah, I
That's
think
designed, as part of the design, if the wall was up, there'd be no sliding into it at all. That was one of the first things we put in was that wall.
Because that, I mean, it's obviously as you drive by, it's kind of.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean in a little bit harder even on numbers. So the park at 1.2 million is 350,000 is the concrete of the park. The rest of it is infrastructure that's being required by engineering in the county, both with ADA funds and all of the retaining walls. So storm drainage, retaining walls. I think that is the beauty of part of this project. If we weren't putting in a skate park, there would be no infrastructure. You can look at what's happening to the right of the county library right now. The county's not acting very quickly on trying to take care of that problem. So with all respect, I think this infrastructure at least gives us some type of opportunity to put proper dollars into what could potentially shore up the problem.
The reason I asked that is because you're trying to reduce liability, and that was my concern, is liability for anybody. Skate park. Thank you.
Excellent. Anything else? Other questions for Julie? And Kitty, I see you have your hand up, but first I'm gonna go to Shelley Becker, and then we'll come back to you with Shelley.
Okay, hi, Shelley from the dog park. I just have a couple of updates. One is, we received our money from our old 501c3, and we have it in a bank account now. It's about 46,000, and we're hoping to use that money from the generous citizens to put gazebo and maybe a foundation benches, so we'll have some protection. And there's a trainer who's been involved with the dog park, and he's doing volunteering training for us, because we want it to be a safe place to participate, and we're really grateful for him. His name is Juan. And we're sorry about the noise. We got the new hours, and I don't know if that's helping at all, but we're working hard with the participants to quiet down, especially in the early morning. But And I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And, and that's a big step.
Yeah.
That's a big first step.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you start thinking about the gazebos, I know you'll work with, the committee and, and this is in the radar for the committee part ad hoc and kind of working together where everything goes. So thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What are you guys doing to address the noise issue specifically?
Well, we put up a big sign in our bulletin board and some people posting it on Nextdoor, so I think that's helpful getting the message out. And then when I'm there, trying to get other members to adhere to the courtesy. So I think it just needs, maybe with this trainer, we can realize some etiquette that needs to take place in a community park.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. It's a tough nut to crack. I go out and watch it and I have dogs and yeah, I sympathize with everybody.
Yeah, while keeping an eye on the fact that there are dogs and people having fun and enjoying and
Yeah,
living
all of
in
it,
our
all of it,
community.
yeah.
So sometimes people make noise when they live.
Forest Committee, do you want to comment or you and Crosby both?
Well, I think Crosby's just watching. I'm probably the verbal one.
Generally you are, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
At our meeting, at our forest meeting, which was last Friday, we discussed a little bit about the Fern Canyon concern. That's part of the things that I was mentioning. The other thing we do at the forest committee, especially our chairperson Crosby, he keeps very informed on all the new science evidence that's coming out of related to fire suppression. And because there's a lot of different ways to look at this, and there's some place that needs to be a compromise, that you can't destroy things to, but there needs to be a compromise, that we keep looking at all the scientific papers that are written about this, and we're trying to keep a collection of that to present it when necessary. Because there's a lot of different thoughts out there and they're all good, but they just need to come together.
Thank you. What, any other questions on any of these? That was,
I think green space is on there and land conservancy and Rancho Marino. Are they just listed or they have them invited?
we heard from Corinne, about 10 minutes ago. You were here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or I meant land conservancy.
Right, yeah, and I've invited both of them. Each meeting, I kind of send them a reminder and, and it's clear that when they have interest in something to bring, they'll bring it.
I did notice that Rancho Marino was addressed at the CCSD board meeting by a couple of people.
Indeed.
Yeah, okay. Just
And, in fact, Keith has chimed in on prior meetings.
okay.
You've been here. So back to committee member communications. Permit, I think.
Well, I pretty much covered it. If we're going to just, I think the priorities are what should be
Okay, we'll get to that out of the goals.
All right,
Yeah.
and then April 21st, we're on the draft of this thing. When you look at, if you attend the meeting tomorrow on NCAC, you'll see the draft in the write-up of this, and it's on, I believe, the website header right now for the meeting tomorrow. And if you get a chance to look at it, and the draft of this whole bond issue, it's many pages long. And when you look at all this, frankly, I believe it's in the past, but it's they have enough bait for everybody, but it's a very expensive feature. So I think the biggest issue then is no matter which way we need to prioritize and get projects in that we want, and we need to follow the 5-year plan and aggressively monitor because we're getting left out. I think we're just sitting in our own little cocoon over here, and the board really needs to be part of the county, more so than they are, instead of just waiting, for dispensations from above, from the county. Get out there and kick some butt and get some money.
Excellent.
Would this be appropriate then on Kermit?
Because you want-
Probably.
Question.
Yeah.
I've read through the bond and I know this bond didn't pass successfully before, to my
Yeah.
knowledge. I could not agree with you more, Kermit. Like, we need to get highly aggressive at the county door. We are sitting in a silo and we will continue to be left behind unless we get extremely aggressive. And there is money on the table and it's going to surrounding communities. To your point with Nipomo, I
Yeah.
followed that project. So we can sit and talk about how we don't have sidewalks and how our concrete is nowhere to be found at the entry to the dog park, and how we have hills that are falling into buildings, and
This is, we don't ask for it.
correct.
If you
So I
wanted
could
it,
not agree with you
ask
more.
for it. No one will know what you will need until you ask for it.
I hate,
Amen.
you're talking to somebody who's not afraid to ask,
Yeah, I noticed it.
right?
We have a lot of squeaky wheels in this town. It'd be nice if we started directing some of that squeak towards the county,
Yeah.
less on the CCSD.
So thank you for the work, Kermit.
Excellent.
That bond is a perfect example. That's $11 million. I mean, these are numbers, we've got to take this burden off of our community members and stop asking them for money. There's county money, there's state money, there's federal money. I mean, we know we've gone after it. So,
And we could upgrade in Shamble Park as our big tree. They get a $3 million skate park.
right.
We've got a goal, and this is good. This is going to end up being an action under that goal, sounds like. But we're not set up for that. That's agenda topic. Something regular business. So yeah, let's dive back into this at that point. Other committee member communications.
I'm speechless.
All right.
That's unusual.
So Bob done.
Which brings us to public comment, and so, hey, Laura. Yeah, for things that are not on the agenda. So if they're one of the goals,
I want to comment on Kermit's report.
oh, okay.
That was the.
So we're not on public comment yet.
I wanted to agree with Ms. Armitage, that is what I've been saying many times on public comment, is that Cambria needs to have a good negotiator to go to the county. We have homelessness. They collect too much of our bed tax. They're not giving us enough to do infrastructures or things for safety. So I'm saying it one more time. We need a good negotiator to go down there and tell the county we are here. We are the cash cow, the wonderful tourist trap that we are, which is wonderful, but we need some of our money back and we need to be paid attention to it. Thank you.
Any other public comment on committee member communications on permits? Okay, I want to move on.
I'm sorry, I gotta piggyback on that because it's just too smart. We just came from San Simeon Tourism and got declined on infrastructure, so I could not agree with you more. Yeah, I mean, we are the cash cow for tourism. So,
All right,
thank you.
we all agree on that. Okay, moving to agenda item 2, public comment, things that are not on the agenda. So, anybody? We got plenty on the agenda, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
So we're good. That was a one and done. Thank you. And so now, David Aguirre, what do you have for us in facilities and resources? Let's just see, David, are you at a point where you can and want to contribute? All right, so we'll move on, and at any point, I don't know if David, if you're hearing us, I mean, he is so overloaded, I'm not surprised. But I did see the new hand, Oscar Mora, cleaning up out here. I haven't had a chance to say hello and meet him yet, but that's a major win. So we have a new hire. Look forward to meeting him, and they're FNR is still looking for one more. And as you all know, I think they're, probably know, they've moved out of, that little corner of this building, and they're back into, the FNR building where they've done some repairs. With that, we can move to, I don't think I've missed anything else. Consent agenda.
I move that you approve the minutes of the January 31st, 2024.
Thank you. And before we do that, just, if you allow me to ask, does anyone have any revisions? I read it, Jeff produces them, I look at it, and my eyes cross. Are there any errors? All right, then, Jim's motion stands. Do we have a second? There we go. And the roll call, Jim?
Aye.
Kermit? Kermit? Yep. Aye. Aye.
I,
All right. I expected that would be easy. And now, regular business. So, in terms of the order of things, I'm going to switch to the staff report. And so I won't be able to see the hands, but then we'll come back to public comment. Give me a moment so I can fumble through that. That should be here. And I would have, okay, so the story on this, the ad hoc committee was meeting out on the East Ranch, looking at the site, familiarizing landscape architect Lindsay Corica, and I believe Shannon brought up like, yeah, that's where the restroom's gonna go, right over there, and it's gonna be sitting out there, and is that where we want it? Backed out, said, well, is that where we want it? And so this is a rough sketch just using that 2012 document, but on the map, it's out here. And that's where I wish it were right out in the yard, we'd go walk out there. But like, well, how do we put it? And, these are the parking areas, and we kind of felt like, why don't we put it right about there? Makes more sense. I'm pretty sure you all know that spot. I can bring up Google Maps if you want, but any questions about this?
What, the ad hoc committee recommends moving the bathroom, is that right?
Recommends the location be here instead of here, since it's only on the drawings. And
There's soil samples and all that kind of stuff.
I do want to add that if we have the bathroom remains in the location where it is on that map.
Right.
Then we do have to also consider the expense of creating an ADA pathway, probably concrete pathway from the parking lot to the bathroom,
Great.
which is an additional considerable expense. And it right now, because it'll be the only thing other than the dog park in our community park, we're going to have a bathroom out in the middle of the field and a dog park. So bringing it close to the parking lot actually makes it usable for people. And that way we also avoid the expense of having to do a very long pathway out to the middle of the field for our bathroom.
I understand that concern. On the other hand, my position would be, we're supposed to be serving fields, etc. We don't want to make it more inconvenient for somebody to go back there. That's just my point. Small point.
So Jim, on the 31st, we did a soils report, which covered that area.
And
Well, yeah,
what you,
so the moving to that location would not be a problem.
isn't there a sewer that actually goes under the concepted area as opposed to where you're trying to move to?
No.
so what?
There's no infrastructure that would be covered, water or wastewater.
So so from your perspective, like what is the impact of this, kind of talk to us about the impact of this on utilities.
On utilities, it's actually easier for us. It's a shorter run for water and for wastewater. It doesn't cover any infrastructure underground that's currently installed there. Like I said, the install would be a shorter location. So this does make sense in this location, and it makes zero difference to the permit with that small locational move. However, it would require a board resolution. So this location site change would have to go in front of the board.
All right,
the original location was to accommodate the soccer fields out there.
Right.
And the larger amount of area that you have, but when you really look at your premium area where you can put picnic tables, not be too far away from the parking lot and not too far away from the bathroom. Yet, if you look at circles in the area of like activities, it's probably more centered there. But realistically, I've always said move the bathroom closer to the parking lot, just because one is that's probably where the majority of people are going to come in and use it, and it becomes a public toilet, which functions just as well as a future park toilet that who knows? But anyway, the actual sidewalk there is proposed or has been proposed to be by me, but it was going to be an accessible walkway, which could be cinders, because it's flat there. It's going to be, but it just seems to me if you moved it closer to the parking lot, you had better sidewalk containment, because you have to bring it out to the middle of the island and pave around it so your mower can just clip and hold the weeds down without having to get out and spend too much money maintaining around there. And it will create pathways in that area directly to the bathroom. So you've got kind of a beat out area in the middle. It'll probably happen even with the parking lot there. I'd even say the toilet could move a little closer to the north, just to accommodate. Anywhere you put it, just long as it blends in and you work around your road area. But it would be more accessible to the majority of people, in my opinion, that would stop by looking for a toilet. They get out of their car, they walk to the bathroom, and they go. And you're going to find a lot of uses of that, just as much as you probably would the park. And even though it's to serve the park, I say move it.
I'm convinced with the fact that, if you don't have to extend the time out and it's just as cheap and no permit change, that makes a big difference.
So, yeah, we're past the point of questions. I'm going to ask for public input, and then we'll get back to board discussion. So public question, and Laura, you had previously? No, okay, so Alan.
I made copies of the diagram out there and highlighting the trail and the bathroom, make it faster to locate it. I very much disagree with moving it. I disagree with moving it, and Perla laid this thing out, and if you ask them, they probably tell you this is central. Now, grant you, there's nothing there right now, because you haven't built anything because you need the bathroom. But if you look at the diagram and you look where the orange is, that's the bathroom, and the playground is centered between the playground, those pathways, the dog park, everything, and then eventually, if we ever build them, the play fields. If you also look, that I believe is pathways that you're going to have to put in. And they're going to have to be ADA compliant. So you're going to end up pouring concrete whether you like it or not. The problem I have is a person brings their child down to play in that playground, and you turn this thing out there in the parking lot, their eyes are off of where the kids are if they go to the bathroom. They're going to have to get up and go to the bathroom with them. And meanwhile, if they have another child playing, they lost track of them. If you put it in that central location, a person can sit there and keep an eye on both of them. They know who's hanging around the bathroom. They know the kid's playing okay. If you put it out there at the parking lot and you turn the doors towards the parking lot, you have just created a roadside rest. This is supposed to be a community park, not a roadside rest. or a trail someplace. This is a service to people using the park, whether they local or not, it's for the park. They're welcome to use it, the public's always welcome to use our bathrooms, but it's mainly meant here so we can build a park. If you move that thing, you've taken it out of the center location. You know, eventually, this stuff's gonna get built, and then you're gonna go, why did they put it out there? So I would ask you to give some real thought to that, and ask firms why they put it there. Somebody laid this thing out. They didn't just guess at it, they laid the thing out. So they're the people to ask about this. But I would wish you'd give some consideration, and you're right, this will have to go in front of the board to be okay.
Absolutely.
I would like to say that the ad hoc committee is looking at the components associated with the community park and where they're going to be, and it probably will not be what is here. So it will be adjusted as far as the way we're looking at it.
Yeah, there will be changes, but, you know, Alan's argument about the playground area, it's somewhere thereabouts, near where we're shown. This is, you know, and in, you know, landscape architect Irma was with us, you know, during this discussion, but you bring up a point that we were not discussing. It was a good point.
I had the same vision that he had. I see the young Hispanic family going out there, the young mothers sitting out there with their kids, and keeping an eye, someone's on the playing field, someone's on the playground, and she's got that 180 degrees. And that restroom is right there, where in the local.
With the doors facing.
Facing there, so she can wash the doors, or she can go there and still see the playground with kids. For the playground, you're gonna have to put ADA trails in anyway, or concrete, so you might as well bunch it together, use the same trail, dual use it. But I always had the vision of taking care of that Hispanic family, and that she's out there with the kids, it's family oriented. So I would agree with Alan.
I'd like to, like,
Other public comment before we? Yeah, great points.
I spent a lot of time in parks, department.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Kitty had, I want to finish up with comments.
She's put her hand down, I think. Oh, she has nothing.
No, she put her hand down. Okay. Easy there. How do I?
I'm here.
Got it. Okay, thanks.
You all were echoing though, so it sounds really funny. I think I agree that it would be cheaper to have the restroom next to the bathroom, but I think it will only meet immediate needs. And the whole point of the restroom is so that you can build the community park. My personal, I just think the restroom closer to the playground is probably the best thing that you want. And the playground closest to the parking lot is probably not the best juxtaposition. I think you should think long-term about this and not just short-term savings, particularly since those funds seems to have already been approved.
Yeah, thank you, Kitty.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kermit.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is most bathrooms usually are a focal point for gathering. They have water and whatever. They close at a certain time, I realize, but you know, it's still another building to paint things on. Typically, you want your bathrooms, especially when areas aren't real heavily used, to be closer to eyes that people can see, for public safety. Doors are usually open to the areas with the most people, and I don't get the argument of having doors open to. Well, I can see it to the playground if the adults are standing in the playground, but the same issue as the parking lot is where most people. So I think the safest place for keeping the area safe and public is facing with lots of eyes, closer to the parking lot.
Other board discussion.
Yeah, I think that since there's no lighting allowed and this is not your typical park, it's not a typical place where someone will drive and stop. It's not going to be overnight parking. It's just I think the consideration of the doors being
toward the most likely user that wants to have their eyes on it, the dog park, people can walk around, get in the door on the other side. I appreciate the other comments of public, and I think the present location is best. That was yeah, present location, as on the chart. And we want to get as far as we can to the people that are going to be using it, because if there's hundreds of kids actually out there using
That sounds so
soccer
good.
fields, well, let's say dozens, okay? That's, you're gonna wanna have that closer so that they can run over, do something, and go back and make a goal, rather than running in the parking lot and doing something else.
Yeah, Steve, I hadn't heard from you.
You know, goal.
No, I'll refrain.
Shannon?
Like I said, the components of the community park are gonna shift. This map is not reflective of what is going to actually happen. However, as it stands, where the playground is right here is actually closer to our proposed bathroom site versus the bathroom where it was originally. And I think we can do a lot with the orientation of the doors towards the playground, if that is something, a concern. And again, I agree with Kermit that you want it closest to the most people. Otherwise, we're gonna have what we have at the parking lot here in town where everyone moves into the bathroom and you can't use it at all. So, and I was thinking about the Shamel Park, the bathroom is close to it, but between the trees and everything, it's very hard to see the bathroom from the play structure.
It's right next to it, excuse me.
It is right next to,
It's next to it, in the center between the pool and the playground and that gazebo and then the playing fields.
yeah, but you can't see the bathroom, you can't see the doors.
Gazebo.
Yeah. So, I'm just saying we
But
can do a
it's
lot with
proximate.
orientation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Approximate.
I think this would actually be proximate as well.
Yeah, your point, the Shamel Park bathroom is not near where the cars are, it's right next to, that gazebo and.
But it's next to the pool.
Next to the pool.
And most importantly, next to the pool, which it has.
That was where but it was there 100 years ago before the play structure ever got there, so.
Huh. Okay, other discussion? Jeff?
Some things associated with maintenance and, so it seems to me that having it where it is located, if there's any leaks or problems with sewage or anything, that's a very convenient place to get equipment and power. In terms of, waste removal, so trash, that would make it more convenient, I believe, to where the centralized trash is. Somebody's gonna have to go in there and take trash cans and move them to somewhere else. So who's ever doing that from a maintenance standpoint has easier access and removal. And I just for overall cleaning, I don't know, I think, again, I'll speak for David, but I'm guessing David and his team will be responsible for cleaning or a third party. But just access and ability to get equipment and stuff that makes
Up to it instead of across the lawn.
right, Kermit. Yeah, it's just easy. I'm just thinking of things from a convenience and maybe they influence cost as well. I don't know that would be an easier, more convenient, accessible for maintenance issues.
And I think, with, David being, not having his hand up, Jim and Tristan, feel free to comment on behalf or CCSD point of view.
I would say my only comment, as long as we keep it kind of where we're discussing, then we won't have to apply for permits or do anything else. We can use the same application. So as long as we're talking about moving it 50 feet from one spot to another, it really is not going to make a whole lot of difference to the staff where we end up doing it.
Okay, so original concept, from the plan that we've seen for a decade is the doors, here, essentially facing northwest towards the rest, play area. What we put here was essentially a concept of probably doors facing the parking lot for access. And I'm hearing kind of a third alternative, which is somewhere in this proximity, but with the doors facing the play area, so that you do have line of sight. I mean, last time I was at the playground, over the summer with the kid's other grandma, right? We were sitting on a bench right about there where we could see between both of them. So I hear what you're saying. So it sounds like there's really three alternatives on the table.
So my feeling is we paid somebody, a professional, to evaluate it, and he put it there and we don't know why. So we're changing it without asking him, Firma. So that's one problem I have. And then the other thing is, so we don't have to ask county to move it, right?
We'll have to notify them there's a location
Notify.
change.
That there is a location change and they'll have,
Our geo and the soils report contains that location change, then we're on
so
the same.
it feels like anything that we ask them, though, that will push it down the road. I mean, you're not just gonna walk in and permit in hand and then walk out that same day, right? There's gonna be a process that they go through.
In my experience with county, anytime you have a question or ask, you bring something back to it, they
Yeah.
require something more of you.
Yeah, yeah,
And therein is with lengthens the process.
yeah.
So on your comment, before we move on, the comment that we have not asked Firma, I mean, Lindsay Corica, the owner of Firma, was there with us on the ranch when we were walking around and looking at this.
Okay.
So she was there and. yeah,
Didn't
we
care,
brought
didn't
that-
have an opinion on it?
As we're looking, of these, this location or this location, a couple other areas, like, seem reasonable from her point of view. But, so, that, we did have a bit of that conversation. But you're bringing up important perspectives here. So, does someone want to make a motion on this?
I'm going to think about it.
That's fine.
I mean, I don't think that, I wouldn't be ready to approve this change, seeing it for today.
So
And I think people have good input on it, other people, we should get it.
Yeah, it feels like when we ask ourselves, do we have sufficient reliable information to make the decision on this? What you're saying is maybe we don't yet.
My opinion.
I'm okay with that, Sean.
And I would wholeheartedly disagree. We didn't have any information on the reasons for the location of the previous, or the bathroom in the previous location. We actually have a little bit more data to support moving it to this proposed location. We are in the process of designing the park, like this will not stand. It will maybe be similar, but then, I mean, it's an excellent point. Let's keep the orientation of the bathroom so that you can see it from the playground. And now that we know that we've, raised that concern, we can address that. But to table it means that we have to wait longer for the bathroom. And since,
You're gonna make the best either way,
So
right?
rather than interrupt the speaker, let Shannon finish and one can make a motion.
and it just seems like kind of a silly thing to be waiting on when we can decide where the bathroom goes, design the park around it to accommodate young parents who have children on. Get the bathroom in the process so that we can finish the park. Delaying our decision on where the bathroom location is just going to further delay the park.
You kind of got a blank sheet of paper here right now. The
Yeah.
next step begins it all is the bathroom.
It is nice to know where we have it, where we'd like to have it so that we can design the park around it.
The facility will have light. That's during operational hours.
I make a motion that we move the position to the suggestion location. Doors fake playground or just north, so it's sideways and you can see it from both the parking and the playground.
So we have a motion, Carmena's motion that we put the, identify the restroom location here as recommended with the doors and lighting facing the playground. Do we have a second?
I will second.
All right, so, yeah, right, yes, the discussion. Yes, thank you.
I have a question first. Does this keep us from ordering that bathroom, which is a 220-day lead time? 260, can the decision to start manufacturing that bathroom depend upon this location? Or could it be changed in another 180 days?
So you're reminding you your planning permit. So as soon as that's executed, you begin the construction phase of the permit. That was our intention to order it because that's about 6 months, 7 months right there of planning lead time, which is about the exact time for the lead time and fabrication for the bathroom. That's why you kind of can join those together, but we can purchase that bathroom at any time.
But we haven't purchased it
But we
yet.
have not purchased it yet.
We're still on.
So this would be a really good time to direct that. Yeah.
So I'm just saying that if we moved it 3 months to either location, if we started building that darn thing, we'd still have plenty of time to do it. I agree with the fact that you have more information. You walked around there and you looked at this and looked at that. This plan has been in place for years. And the input that you got when you walked around there was wonderful. I appreciate it, and it might be the right decision, but I'm not. On the other hand, we don't have any notification to anybody out here that says, hey, maybe we should look at it next month. Maybe we should have a little time to do it. That's my discussion.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Yeah, this is not unlike, most committee and board meeting packets. Staff report proposals are included. Everyone sees what's in there, so.
Consideration means we can vote on it.
Correct, of course. Yeah, of course. So, Jeff.
Just to clarify process, I mean, our role here in pros is to make a recommendation.
Recommend to the board.
So it doesn't end here. We're not gonna make a definitive decision about where that thing's going. It's our recommendation to the board. It's gonna have public input at that point when it comes on the agenda, right? So as always, our role is simply advisory to the board, right? So that's what we're trying to agree on here. So anyway,
I would also add that the more components that we have established on our map of the community park, the easier it is going to be for us to design the community park. So not knowing where the bathroom is a huge issue when we go to design the community park.
Right, so we have a motion on the table. We'll vote on that. We'll decide unless there's amendments, but we'll. Right, yeah, we're not done, yeah. I hear you, Jim, I see your hand. But, this is going to be advice to the board, and it's not on the agenda yet for either of the March meetings. But it will get on the agenda in a timely manner to meet the needs of the utilities department and F&R. So additional data will very likely be considered between now and then. Jim, your comment?
The issue is that we're not trying to serve the people who park in the parking lot and go and do something. And that's what we're doing. We're making it a focal point at where you can get out of your car, you can go to the bathroom and leave. That's not where the people are. The people are, all of the people are going to be further inland, further in the park, whether they're doing other activities, even if they're walking around and going to just a path and walking that path. Those customers are out there, and it would make sense for the bathroom to be closer to the users than it is to somebody in the parking lot. End of conversation.
Yeah. Also, FYI, one thing that we haven't discussed, and the ad hoc committee looks forward to bringing some proposals to the pros committee. But this space over here is a really nice area where there's some conversation about putting some either picnic area or horseshoes or something. So this is also one of the areas that are in the community park. That's also a consideration. But anyway, further discussions?
Well, I'd like to add, but this project has a lot of momentum right now where it's stalled for quite a while. I've performed a lot of projects, got a lot of projects going. And when a project has this kind of momentum, like we've submitted the soils review, the planned lighting updated changes, the community park environmental monitoring plan by FIRMA, all these things. those were all submitted to the county weeks ago. So like I said, this has great momentum, and I'd hate to see that momentum die on. So make good decisions, discuss.
Well, I'm gonna follow staff and trust Shannon's decisions and go on with that.
All right, so I think what you're suggesting is, all right, let's vote where discussion is done. So the order, since Kermit made the motion. Public comment? Okay.
Motion to.
I'm sorry, you accept the Jim asked for public comment? Okay, Tony.
Nothing to do with what we've been discussing. Did I hear you say it's gonna be lit
There's lighting during operational hours, correct?
on the outside? Or in?
Interior and exterior. Yes,
During, and you said during operational hours,
operational hours.
which is not nighttime. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks for noticing. No other comments, then Kermit?
The motion is.
Director
Okay.
Thomas, I'm sorry,
Okay, Shannon?
Director Thomas.
No, just for.
Okay.
No, because I'm trying to support some people.
Yeah, good discussion. And so the motion passes 4-1 with committee member Berenger voting negative. And I think we've clear on the motion. So we move on to agenda topic 6A. This is going to be significant. I'm going to suggest a 5-minute bio break, and it is 3:12 p.m. I'm not going to mess with stopping and restarting the recording because I don't trust my technology know-how on that. So we will be recorded during our break. So 5 minutes and we'll kick back off.
I did not see that coming.
This is gonna be.
It starts to, it gets me so depressed. Yeah. Just like everything we know is gonna be. But thank you, Tristan and Jim, for coming.
I want to see some trying to get this done, but we have really see when they have sidewalks in nowhere. So it's just these two projects are just stalling. It's killing.
Yeah.
No.
It's a little frustrating.
What do I need to do? What was you complaining about? What are we not doing? I just started saying.
Well, no, just the general community park, you know, if you keep tabling everything, one more discussion.
You're not gonna please everybody. Anytime.
And the thing is too, I mean, not that the bathroom location is gonna change, but this map is gonna change, and we're gonna show this to the public, and it's gonna have a lot of input on what we show them.
Regardless of the 2008 or 9 document, you guys got a clean slate. And I think Burma, honestly,
It's all based.
I think Firma honestly placed it there years ago. Was it, you look? This is like the tree line, whatever. That's what our infrastructure is. I think they put it close to the infrastructure to ease the installation. That was it.
To be nested in the trees right there.
Yes.
Right now, it's just like in the middle of the field.
That was me, right? So yeah, I don't think there's any other.
And then too, like, this is the park. I mean, yeah, granted, we go out here, but the people are gonna do that.
Third right, it's going to be in that area, and that's the center. And the other ones, people out there are moving.
Right, yeah, they're moving through the disc golf.
We'll hope that there's noise complaints from the one neighbor. Because you're always gonna get.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is the design of the site is the maintenance. And have the guy himself in the spot. Doesn't, if you have a maintenance spot or have one that he can pull forward, he carries all his tools. I've played for many times. It just needs that outlet there, and it has that hard surface when you close it out, it gets it. It seems like a puddle of water sitting there.
That might. Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think that was, okay.
I don't think it was anything bad.
No,
Yeah. But, and notice, there are less people now.
yeah.
Engineer. Yeah, okay.
Not very familiar, I feel like we've had a conversation somewhere. We've been here for almost 6 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so. Just, I used to be like. Amazing. Have some consulting. I don't do it. They get so many.
Are we still hot night?
We are. And I'll try to learn that next time of like, all right, if I stop in recording and restart, but I'll,
You can't pause the recording?
we're 1 minute away, but I'm sure I can.
He did a lot of work, but I haven't ever seen him come to our things. Alan?
Yeah.
He did a lot of work on this, but I haven't seen him ever come to anything. I'll just wondering, like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Why? Why is this issue? And not that it matters, but I'm just curious. The other part of
Yeah. Thank you very much for coming. That was huge. And, we'll need all the help we can get on the next topic, but. All right. See you soon. Yeah, I'll see you Monday. Not too. Thanks.
Oh, just okay.
Well, it is amazing how quickly 5 minutes passes. I'll go recruit Jeff. And
And we have a very good station and all the facilities built into the 20th century. Maybe we have completion and all the buildings. And those are listed. There's no lighting on the soccer field. Like that one, they are.
What's the same thing about?
Oh.
right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Julie. Thank you. So we're going to dive in now to topic 6. Yes, 6A under regular business. So I am going to. Yeah, let's first look at the. We look at the staff report. I believe we should. All right. So we did a great job putting together goals for pros committee. As I presented that to the board last Thursday. Interestingly, somehow in the edits, I dropped off on the headlines. It said pros committee goals for 2024. our draft said 2024 and beyond. I made it clear, these are long-term goals that are going to take time to achieve. But I wanted to kind of frame the conversation just a bit before we dive in. I mean, it sounds like everyone's watched the recording. Yes.
Okay.
Jim, yeah. So before we comment on the agenda, I just wanted to share, right? It serves no useful purpose to take the low road. I assure you that going in, I felt great about the goals, and we got a lot of feedback, more feedback than I had expected, and it wasn't really an easy ride for me, but we heard some things from the board that I think are quite useful, and what we're going to do, I'm sure, is rather than wallow is not the right word, but rather than kind of lower loop, and we may do that a bit, but hopefully briefly, but we learn from it. The board is the governing body of this district, and reflecting back, what I'm excited about is the energy we got from the directors on this topic. A lot of energy, and so great. You get a lot of energy from the group of directors. All right, we take their advice, we make the refinements in our goals that and they have helped shape the goals of this committee. We bring back work to the board over the coming year, and they'll see that we've responded to the goals that they helped set. We will have a lot more buy-in. So from that perspective, I'm really pleased about the engagement and the discussion. And how is that for viewing it positive on Jim? But I think that's the right path to take. Negative.
I'll take the low road.
We're a long ways from making a motion. So and path forward, just my last sentence, and then we'll make the rounds. But my plan is, I've got a spreadsheet open. I'm gonna share that and go through that list of goals. Kind of share, what did we hear from the board? What's the feedback? What refinements do we want to make? And once we've got that, we can get to work. But we're not a bunch of renegades, regardless of what anybody might say. All right. All right. So I might start off.
I'll take the low road. I think you did a good job, but you were one against everybody, and some of these were somewhat misinterpreted. But also, I think the fact that no one was in the room, no one was listening. I wasn't. I figured it was a piece of cake, but that's I'm sure most of us did. So why sit through it? So the question, I think the next time this goes in, we need one or all of us there to fill to put other voices in there, because I did not hear everything that I wanted to hear from those directors, and nor did I like the way they were thinking in that direction. So we need more light from the participants here, the members, to inform them of what this is, because I think it just you had to defend the work, defend the reasons and everything else, but it was a 5-1 or 6-1, whatever, 4-1. We needed more people out in the audience, and it wouldn't have swung this heavily.
A good point. And just reacting on it was me against this isn't me against, this isn't us against, we are one team, so I just wanted to comment on that. And yeah, I did send an email to the entire committee saying, hey, this is on the agenda, hope you all come, hope you all watch. And so but I agree, more is better. Yeah, Jim and you and
Flag through this for an hour and a half. I just want to reiterate what I think the board said.
okay,
They said, number one, focus on the East Range, period.
Yep.
Do that plan. That's number one, do it. So we got our running down. Then they said, hey, wait a minute. You guys got to be work more with San Luis Obispo County Parks and Recreation Committee. That was number two for them. Yes, we should talk. Number three, they said, Rodeo Grounds Board really isn't your responsibility, but somehow you can help and have the NCAC and et cetera, more pressure on the county to get things in the radio. That's number three as far as anything. Number four, find inventory of local sites not to be involved. After that, they said, no, don't do anything else. Focus on it. That's what I got. That's just my comment.
who's, Jeff, yeah.
Well, I was gonna really about process in terms of, I mean, I was on the call. I wasn't sure what is appropriate in those environments for committee members to speak. And
Good point.
this is gonna come up again, you know, probably for any number of reasons to go through it. So is it appropriate for members of the committee to speak on behalf of the committee and what we're trying to push for? Is that too
Yeah, excellent. And you know, no and yes. So is it fine for one member of the committee on listening into another committee, be it the board or a standing committee, to speak on behalf of pros committee? No, absolutely not. The chair or the chair can designate a spokesperson on an issue. However, is it appropriate for any member of the pros committee to express their personal points of view as a community member? Absolutely. And so when you're on a committee, it's smart to just say, I'm just expressing my opinion as a member of the community, and then you dive right in.
Okay.
They all know who you are.
Okay.
They know it. And you can say, I'm a member of the pros committee, but my comments are as a community member. So that's fair game.
You know, I voted against something earlier. He was in charge. He's presenting the consensus of the committee, and we shouldn't interrupt. I would say, oh, I'm a member, but I don't agree with it. I would never say that. That's, you know,
We're a team. Yeah. Yeah. Once we get to that point. Yeah. And the ability to, whichever way you vote, the ability to communicate the reasons the legislative body voted on this behalf. And it's fine for example, for Jim to say, well, I voted against that, but here are the reasons why the committee voted in favor, and I support that, and I will, yeah.
Again, another vehicle for doing that is the written comment, right? So it would be perfectly appropriate for any one of us to provide a written comment saying, hey, I support the goals that could be, so there's any number of ways that we can provide. Okay.
Okay, so I have a lot to unpack.
All right.
I really disagree. This is maybe just semantics, but I disagree with that having to add beyond to our goals, the title of our goals every year. We're not going to finish anything ever, just like none of the committees finish anything ever. And so of course it's going to, you know, something like the community park plan is going to be, we're going to try to do it for 2024. It probably won't happen. It'll probably get moved again on to 2025. So I thought that was kind of just a silly waste of time to even sit there and discuss that. And that was really just semantics. And I really felt like, yeah, I get what Kermit and Jeff were saying, because I felt like not that it was you against the board, but you were definitely getting hammered. And we weren't there to support you, but I think all of us felt the same way. Like it was a nothing conversation, didn't think twice about it. The things that the board is asking us to take off our goals, makes perfect sense to me. I think it could have been communicated a lot softer and friendlier. We want, of course, to do what the board is entrusting us to do. We also have that, dynamic where we're recommending things from the ground up, from the community, from ourselves. You know, we're studying the viability of projects with the county and all the different agencies to present something cohesive to the board when we give the board ideas for projects. We can't just do it in a vacuum without talking to people. So we have this top down, the board telling us what they want us to do and us coming up with ideas of what we want to do. So I felt like that communication, stay in your lane was hurtful and frustrating, to all of us, a little insulting. So I'm sorry that you had to sit there and take that. That being said, I think they're right about some of the things that we need to take off our goals. It makes perfect sense. So.
Any other, from the committee, and then we'll go to public comment.
I was gonna say, Shannon had a good point. Well, the one that I disliked most was when they said focus tightly. Now, the biggest problem focusing tightly is you miss this. We wouldn't be outside the park if we hadn't focused on it. We went out and found and sensed the public 6 months to a year ago, went out and sensed with an ad hoc committee and said, what do you want to see in the park? Came up with 3 things, picked one, gave them the money for it, and they just went, didn't know what to do. Just stone cold on, we haven't got a disc golf course, and that was the only thing we could afford and find to do in immediate fashion, and they want us to go back and look for another disc golf or something else, polo field, something. But to miss the big picture, that's what we ought to be doing. If you're just, we have the small macro and micro focus is where we ought to be, and if all we're doing is micro focus, we don't need to do anything. We could just meet for, tell a few jokes and say, gee, we still haven't got any money, haven't got a parks department, let's go do something else. And that's how I feel. I'm fuming at that person that said, gee, focus on that thing. And that's exactly where I would start. And I would not put up with that kind of stuff. In fact, I don't see a reason for it. The NCAC gets to have a loose focus on everything. And frankly, we're better off having a certain amount of that looseness in this committee, because you just can't find, if they don't have a parks department, what you're gonna look at and study is what you got. No futuring, no grabbing up money somewhere else, but just stuck in their own little, let's wallow around in the parks more.
Not doing it.
Yeah, we moved the bathroom. That was the last big feature we're gonna focus on for the rest of the year.
We didn't.
So we didn't do anything yet.
All right,
So this is,
comment.
okay.
This would be my overall take on it. A couple of things is we don't need any goals because we're an advisory committee and goals imply action, and we have no ability to take action, no staff, no money, no nothing. In fact, they were pretty clear that they want us to take no action. They want us to be advisory. So I'm like good with showing up here. Tell me what you want me to advise you on and do it. The other thing is semantics. We had the same thing with the budget. Pros has got a budget. Well, if I vote on how the money's spent, that's my budget. Quit saying it's my budget when I never voted on any of how the money's spent. But very clear, they're the board. I'm with you. I don't have any problem with them making their decisions. They're the guys that are doing it. But don't waste 2 hours of my time with a whiteboard and stickers going over things that I absolutely hate. And then you telling us that was stupid. I was like, I know, I said that at the beginning. Anyway, there you go. And I said the other thing about goals. I like simple goals. You know what my goal is? The play field. So we've got a goal that's one word, it's the play field, and I'll be here and that's what I'm working on. And the other things that they don't like us talking about and working on, all right, I agree with a lot of that, but the Pacific Coast Trail is something that is in my mind. All right, no, not the Pacific Coast Trail, because we don't want Rancho Marino to hear that, to which I'm like, Rancho Marino? Who owns Rancho Marino? UC Santa Cruz?
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, a UC system, we're all on the same page here. We're not trying to trespass. I'm trying to get a bike trail from Cambria to Cayucas. I live here. That's within the realm of my thought process. We're going to bring it to this table.
Not us, who?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think
You will go for something.
All right.
I agree with. No, I agree. when we're in this room throwing things around, I'm with that. We're at this lowest level of government, and this is all we've got in this town. And so we came up and we shook the little shaker, and we came up with the frisbee golf thing, and that kind of got shut down. And that's frustrating when we're just trying to move this ball a little bit down the road. So
So,
well, everything is lost till 265 days on the map.
so good churn. Now I want to start doing, I think, what I'm suggesting is that we go through this list of goals we created, and update it as appropriate based on what we think we heard and combined with what we think's the right thing to do. I'll go back up to the bat as many times as it takes. I'm a field player, but we did hear some things that are, sending us in better directions. So I would like to now focus, go through the spreadsheet, make the changes, and get this done before we run out of time. Laura? Yeah. Yeah, public comment, right? We haven't done that yet. Thank you. Yeah, Tony.
Well, yes, I'll go first. I agree with Kermit and I agree with Steve. However, the one thing that really bothers me is that you take in public comment when I'm talking, so I guess you do listen to me every now and again. You relay that to the board. By the use of the word goals, if you just take that word out as regards citizen concerns and you're not representing the CCSD. You are a committee which is taking input from the community and relaying it. Yes, it's up to you guys to make sure this is our number one priority, 2, 3, whatever. But actually, I was upset listening to it to the extent that everything that you've been talking about was discounted, and it shouldn't be. It's important, some things will be important to you, and other things, I know what is most important to you, and I totally agree. You should focus on it. But apart from that, all those other things that were on the list are all relevant, and they should be brought to the attention of the CCSD. That's why you're here. If not, then I have to go and speak to the directors independently.
Well,
sorry.
Well said. Well said. Well said. The bylaws. You assess existing resources and gather information regarding the needs of the community. That is the first remit to us, and so we are the voice of the community. Absolutely.
And you put them in order. You can get goals, as I say. That's just the wrong word, I think.
Well, and it's like
because you can't do it.
Ah,
you're advisory to the board, and that, yes, I'm sorry you don't have any teeth, but you can present the biggest subject that you want to at the top of your list. But the other things shouldn't just be sloughed away. Sorry.
Well,
I want to say more.
So do we rename it CCSD Parks and Recreation Open Space? Things that we would really like to do, but hopefully we can get in front of the board if we have the connections with the directors that are necessary to get a program accomplished.
yeah, we could overreact. We could overreact. No, I think we still it's what are we working towards? And several of you brought this up with let's identify those things we want to spend our time working towards. We call those goals. It's English language. We're not prohibited from using words in the dictionary. Laura. Oh yeah, no, that was powerful. And right on.
Not the person who listens to these things, I thought that my opinion, I thought that it was quite harsh at how we presented things. Because I know how hard all these guys work. The one thing I did want to say is that maybe you should be limiting yourself to within the urban boundaries of the concerns, because you're supposed to be talking to the board and they have no jurisdiction outside of sort of thing. So connecting a trail from here to there down south, that might not be on anybody's plate.
And they don't have any decision-making authority on that. They are,
I know,
Yeah,
that's
so-
what I mean.
so we're suggesting things that they can't even do.
So as I'm thinking about semantics here, it's like, okay, these are the things we like talking about. I like talking about the trail to Cayucas, but I realize that we have no jurisdiction, that we have none of those things, but it is something that tangentially plays around with us at some level, with our trails as we connect things. That's just my own personal little thing. But like the trail underneath the bridge, we could say that's not our trail, it's not on our property, but it does.
It's open space.
But
It's connected.
it's within the urban district. Yeah, okay, I got you. But okay, perfect. So I was just referring to things outside the CCSD properties as we begin to define it, because I like the trail down Burton. I think that's a connectivity issue to the open or whatever, you know, so.
Please.
In theoretically,
Laura wanted to carry on with the comment.
I thought there's a problem, and there's been a problem with the other committees also, it's not just you guys. There seems to, and I'll be very specific, there seems to be like a little bit of a power struggle between the standing committees and the board, and that's been going on now for a year or two, ever since you were born. Because CCSD is saying we can only talk, and all of the committees, you can only talk about what we tell you we want to be informed about. And the committees are saying, no, we want to bring public input. So until that's resolved, I think there's going to be a problem.
Well, there may always be some tension in that, but I'll just bring, and on our first meeting together as a committee, we put the standing committee bylaws up. I would pull them on the screen if we didn't have to shut this and then restart the other one. But I'll just read you. Each standing committee shall consider only, and there's two things here. One, district-related issues approved and assigned to it by the board of directors. Or two, issues within the purview of each committee as defined below. What that means is where the board has an issue that needs to be addressed, they assign it to finance committee, R&I, policy committee, or pros committee. And then the or is issues within the purview of each committee, meaning it's the responsibility of each committee to assess, our committee assess existing resources and gather information regarding the parks, recreation, open space, and recreational needs of the community. Right. So we do these things, I won't say independently, but through our initiative, wherever it's clear that there is a need within our scope, and our purview is limited. It's anything related to parks, recreation, and open spaces, and it's within the boundaries of the CCSD, but it's not just on CCSD-owned properties. It's like within the boundaries of this, the LAFCO defined map. It's what can we see and do to help bring those opportunities to the community, and where we find some good ideas, we bring it to the point of a plan. Go on to say, establish collaborative relationships with public and private organizations. So yes, working with the parks, the county parks committee, as Steve recommended, working with these other entities. Support to create plans. So work with basically Matt McElhaney and David Aguirre to create plans for meeting the needs of the community within the boundaries of the current and potential resources, right? So our deliverable, and that comes up the next one, recommend plans of action to the board to meet the needs of the community regarding parks, recreation, and open space, right? So what goes over the boundaries is like in the CCSD open space parcels, kind of creating a management plan for maintenance of that property, that's outside our bounds. But identifying any opportunities for meeting the needs of the community within the pros space is, right? So that's the distinction. So what Laura brings up is real. But I said this from our first meeting together, and I'll keep doing it. And you know, I'm in for 15 rounds, and I don't go down easy. And I think we're all seeing that. In some ways, it's more defined with the other committees. The members of staff bring something to the finance or R&I committee for review. In this case, no one's bringing us plans from the community. We are looking for how we can meet the needs of the community and bringing ideas up. So we are going to execute on both of those charges. One, what the board tells us to do, and what we hear from the community. So it's both. And if I think there's always going to be tension, there probably should be, to create that right balance.
Well, okay, but we're a county entity. And when Steve goes looking for a trail.
So when you say we're a county entity, what do you mean by that?
Well, we're a possession of the county. We're an unincorporated area. The county assigns us the district and says, you guys manage this to accommodate. So we are a ward of the county. We're a subset of the county. We're not independent incorporated.
No, we're independent.
Are we independent?
We are a special district.
Are we no, but are we, that's a county district.
is
We're
not
not
a
a state district, we're a county district.
No, we're a water and sewer district.
Water
Yes,
And
it
also
is,
the streetlights.
is it?
and parks, recreation,
we
and
are
open space,
Governed.
and fire protection. So
Yeah, but we're governed by the county. Isn't our charter granted by the county, or is it granted by the state?
May I answer that, Jim? All right. LAFCO, it is, kind of gains its authority from the state constitution.
Mhm.
And special district,
It does everything.
the
We're all subsets.
rules of special district are in the state constitution and state government code. So as a special district, we are, as Jim said, we are responsible and accountable for. We have really sole responsibility for delivery of water, sewer services, fire protection, parks, recreation, and open space, and then lighting and the facilities. Now,
but
within those contexts, there's still coastal commission, there's still planning commission, there's still other entities that need approval from, but we're not a subset of the county.
We aren't, but they control us.
No.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say yes to permit, right? We have to ask permission of the county.
Yeah,
A
lot of everything.
You can build, you ask it, Tascadero. We have to ask the county for permission for everything.
Yeah, for any construction.
Well,
Absolutely.
basically for any money, I mean,
Yeah,
what
the
tax money,
county
we don't.
is our government. CCSD is not our.
Yeah, they decide how much money we get, right?
Well, so on that, you notice we did a rate increase last year, right? CCSD did not request to the county permission to do that rate request.
Because that's within their jurisdiction, but every, right? Yeah.
The county collects our taxes, and we go from there. My point is that when we look at the Cayucas Trail, we're doing that as is Steve not going to do that now because it's not in the district?
That's a negative. So if I say no, that makes it a double negative, meaning, can I say this? Hell yes, I can. Hell yes, the board wants Steve and this committee to work with the county.
Okay,
So
then we need a fourth subset, one more sentence on that direction that says when we work with to work with the county in their approved areas. We can't go trodden on private land.
Oh, no,
but we can try to
the
find a
bylaws
trail
already say
across it.
the bylaws already say to work with, various public and private organizations. They're not gonna list who those are.
Okay, all right.
So
So basically, we can still, but are we going to be able to put down the coastal trail, not coastal trail, but the Cayucas to Cambria trail?
No, and I don't have a problem not putting it down, because you know how I feel about
No,
goals.
but
I just
think-
like it on the radar and.
I think it's a good idea because we need, let's
I wanna hit pause.
connectivity for trails.
I'd like to hit pause. So thank you, Jim. Can you hold? Right, so 10 minutes, it's 4 p.m. And if we predict based on past behavior, you're not going to extend the meeting. So I would like to, and perhaps we will. I'm fair game. I've got nothing happening between 4 and 5, but that's up to y'all. But as I stated, my intent is to go through these one by one and get the right words on here, what is in and what is out. The open discussion is important, that kind of free for all discussion so we can get some bonding about where our heads are at. But until we crawl through this, we will have accomplished nothing, right?
Okay,
So,
so go start. Why?
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, do we have to reword the first one?
So I've got 3 worksheets here. This is what we brought in. Oh, shoot, how do I move that? I can't get to my spreadsheet because that green thing's there. Okay. Here's the board feedback. And okay, get out of the way. And
We're just missing one.
And I've worked through some suggestions that I think are responsive to the board feedback.
That would have been good to.
Yeah, it would have been. I finished this a couple hours ago. Right. Yeah. This was published before the board meeting. Yeah. Thank you, Jim. All right. So, what we heard, I just want to run through this. My summary of, so these are the goals and descriptions unchanged. Better working relationship. Board says some challenge regarding whether this is a goal or an ongoing responsibility. But that's about all he said. Cambria Skate Park, delete this goal. There's an ad hoc committee already working on it. Fine, I think. So.
Can I say, so the first one, if we go through them line by line. So the first one, better work relationship with the county, that is our goal for the year. Next year, it would be to sustain our good working relationship with the county. So I mean, I don't see any reason to remove.
Yeah. Oh, so this does not say, delete.
I'm just saying, so he's leaving it good. Skate park, can we amend it? I mean, I get it. It's for time, we could just delete it. We could just say, we support the skate park in any way we can.
Sure.
Push back a little bit on the board and say, we really wanted to let the community know, we support this project and this is our way of letting the community know.
Do we want to fight that battle, and say we have to have it on our list? I think we've got clear board direction to please take it off your list. And so will that cause the skate park to go south? No. Okay, we are going to continue to support it. Of course we are, but I think demanding that we keep this on the list is going to get us nowhere.
Okay, I'll take it off. At least I got it recorded. But I'm
not gonna vote for goals that are my goals when someone tells me that can't be my goal, then that's not my goal. I don't mean to, all right, I'll vote for whatever, because I want to go home. I don't really care, but come on.
So community park plan. They said move this to the top of the list. Okay. Rodeo Grounds Road, this is a big one. These next 3, I think we need to, it feels like we need to revise these ever so slightly to reflect the outcome we're working towards and be clear about what we are going to do. towards that. This isn't where I've done it. This is just my thought process. Coastal Trail is going to be a delete as stated. And the of open spaces, maybe reframe. So
rewording that. I mean,
Yeah.
inventorying just seems so.
This is the thought. This is the thought process, and I'd like to walk through this worksheet where I've taken that thought process and reflected it here, and just get the brief reactions. Before I do that, Jim, you want to comment? And then we're going to find out whether we're extending, and if we're not, we're going to.
I'm gonna make a motion that we extend to 4/14. Or 4/14. To extend the meetings so that we don't, so and shut down at 4 o'clock.
To what?
I'll second it.
4:14.
Yeah, right up.
4:15. Keep it clean. All right.
On the team too. 15 minutes, okay. Not all the time, but
I second.
Anyone against? All right, that's an easy one. So I'll just kind of walk through what I've got. I have a feeling we're going to have to take another look at this, but just to communicate what I think I heard. East Ranch Community Park Plan, ultimate outcome, and what I'm thinking we, revise this to say, the outcome we aspire to, or some other way to say where we want to get, and also what the pros committee aims to achieve this year. I think the point is one of the points where we need to be specific about that. Yeah, Laura.
I've heard talk about the inventory of all the CCSD properties.
That's on here.
That's already been done. Not really. Just the press. I've seen printouts for, hard copies.
We put that on there for David, so.
Well, we'll get that in a minute.
And maybe what we do is they focus on. Or like not inventory. I like the idea. You like for open space. The inventory is there, but you want us to talk about open spaces. I don't.
We're supposed to manage part of the parcels is what they're requesting. Manage from the standpoint of purpose.
If I can maybe clarify the second piece of that goal, probably not worded correctly, but the intent and spirit of that was, given these, what recommendations collaboratively with fire, water and utilities, and FNR, because they almost all impact in number of these open spaces like Burton Canyon. Put together a recommendation to the board for action items. So there's a number of issues associated with Burton Canyon, but the idea is that we have our perspective on it. We have David's, we have Jim and Tristan's, and as necessary, Chief Berkey's, and public comment, public input, like Lauren Crosby, Julie Jorgensen, on this that can help us have a diversity of viewpoints on what's the best way to manage that open space with these problems. And our recommendation would come from pros, but it would come as a collaborative plan. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was just saying that the inventory physically has already been done, just the way it's worded. That's the only thing that I was having a problem. You don't have to do the inventory.
I agree 100%. We'll jump down to the last point though, and he'll wordsmith that in to make, not to get rid of the goal, but to put a goal on how we manage those properties, and then you're ready to go on. I don't want to interrupt your flow. You have a good flow though.
Thank you. So this, so we, I was talking about this, and Laura jumped to this one, but you're rightly so, and maybe that there's that's close enough for now, is what I'm hearing. Okay.
And then next month, that's what we're gonna do is finally go through those and approve or not. Yeah.
And so, okay, go ahead.
The previous items that you had taken off were back up to the Burton rodeo grounds real.
Oh, they're down here. So let me show what's in here for now. Okay, the big picture. Projects within CCSD control. Of our goals, there are two. Right? The community park plan and the open space inventory, and whatever else we do with that inventory. And I think there definitely is a next level, and how we word it is important. Then next one is establish collaborative working relationships. And then the next set is really projects within our boundaries, but outside CCSD's control, where we have to work with the county and Caltrans and perhaps others to achieve. And Rodeo Grounds Road, Burton Drive Walkway, the pedestrian, all that stuff is there. And the only things that have been removed are Coastal Trail and skate park by kind of clear direction from the board. So
If you don't mind, comment on that. The Burton Drive walkway, they kind of said, hey, we don't have any authority. We don't have any authority at all. CCSD doesn't have responsibility for any of the roads, or none of the improved lots. They don't have authority over land use. They don't have authority over anything. But what they're saying, I think I heard them say, is that, hey, work with the county on that, maybe put some input. And then they went and said, hey, maybe the NCAC, that's really where achievement of these things. But if the NCAC is going to do something, at least we have a Cambria group pros that the locals can come into and say, hey, pros, why don't you do something about that Burton Drive? And we go to the county and we say, who do you have to work with? And then the county comes up with something that they might be able to do, and they take it to NCAC to see if the permitting can be done or whatever, and so on and so on. So I think that's what I heard them say.
Well, they better wake up, because I have $10 million maybe. Build my problems. And if they can just sit there in their thumbs and go, well, but if the issue is connectivity, and we don't, the main subject of trails is connectivity for recreation as well as
Safety.
purpose and safety, public safety. Cambria CCSD has not ever thought of public safety, apparently. The fire department, that's what they devoted to. But we don't do police, and we don't have a roads departments, but basically they aren't in a vacuum. They need to. CCSD should be addressing the quality of roads, the quality of pedestrian area. I don't have a reason to be here, because I could be on NCAC pretty easy. It's just that it's easier to put up with the county when I have a title like the CCSD remotely interested in the projects that we're doing. And frankly, they aren't, and they probably should be. This is one of those things where I don't think this is where we should go into the biggest reason, become a township.
Well, and two, so to Kermit's point, it is more powerful for pros to go to NCAC and say, this is a project that we're very interested in.
Yes.
Pursuing and finding it, again, we're just advisory, we're just finding out information, but we don't do that in NCAC. We go to it, we give a report that's pretty benign. We don't ever ask for anything. We don't say, these are the projects we're really interested in, like fleshing out. And we could be a little bit more powerful entity in NCAC.
That's why we never play in the 5-year project, because CCSD is just sitting around in their own little silence with their own little things that doesn't look out. They grab things. And if you want the bucks, be part of NCAC apparently, but that NCAC doesn't own anything, doesn't do anything. It just advises. So it's, frankly, it's just a paper tiger more so than the CCSD.
And they control the agenda. So Kermit gets bumped to the end and never gets to plead his case. So all the more reason for pros to be a little bit more active in that.
So there's several avenues we can take, and what I expect we'll be doing the next month, and fair enough, this is going to, I can post this on our work in progress website. Once I do that, then I can send it to y'all. But as we, it's not ready for motion.
It's a little more.
But, pardon me?
Everybody, you can't send that email to us.
I'll get there.
Okay.
But say, take one of these, Rodeo Grounds Road. That's a goal. Now, let's just say we insert, all right, the next 5 lines. So the actions we're going to take at the next level. And we haven't really got our action register defined, but we can do it right here. And at the next meeting, when we are rolling up our sleeves and saying, Rodeo Grounds Road, we're going to work to influence the county. What are the specific acts we're going to take? Yeah, we can list those, and attending, we can have, the way Cambrians for Aquatics show up in force, we could show up with twice that many people at SLO County Board meeting. At any of these meetings, we create a focused communication plan and influence plan to get to become the squeaky wheel that eventually gets some grease or some oil, and that happens to equate to dollars. So I think that's kind of where we go next. And how this all works, I don't know, but working together, we're going to get there. And we're not going to accomplish everything on this list. Maybe we are, but just being a realist, I would bet that we won't accomplish everything on the list. But
We accomplished one thing on the list, it'd be amazing.
that's where I'm going. And
Mike,
2
get the
things,
bathroom.
and 3 things, and so just get get up to bat, get some traction. All right.
Could you, I know you got some ideas and you have great ideas and you're doing it all the time. I love the columns and everything. So if you could just put in some of the things you'd like to see in there. And then when we walk in the door here, after we approve the minutes of the last meeting, we can actually go through that and say, no, I didn't like that, no, this, that's an approach I like it.
No, here's what, right. You already know, I love this, in the revision, I forget what words I had on this column, but Shannon, said, I want to call that directly responsible individual. Love it. So here's Steve. So an action item is come back with the specific, 3 or 4 actions that you suggest. If you email those to me, because Steve, you are the lead for this. You kind of lay out, okay, Jeff, here's what I want you to do. Michael, give me orders, right? Like here's what the community committee's going to do. Shannon, you're on the lead for this. Come back with that list of actions that you see, and we can populate that on this list for next time if I get it in advance. Permit, likewise, a set of actions that we're going to take, meeting dates. If we can get, sometimes we've got a dozen volunteers on the ranch to get down on their knees, pull an ice plant. We'll probably have 15 to 20 tomorrow. That's hard work. Attending a meeting is easy work.
I'd rather pull ice plant.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I came out of my mouth, I knew, no, that's wrong. Yeah, and I'd rather be on ice plant as well. But you hear what I'm saying. Your names, wherever you've got the lead, likewise, Jeff. So each of these, a list of actions that, from the small to the large.
So we just need to show our goals again to the board.
Mhm.
I personally don't want to include our list of actions.
Oh, no.
I don't want them bringing all over
No,
our list of
that's
actions.
right now
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to do this, and I'll remind myself how to do it again. But you've got, it's really easy to have like a you know, the little plus sign over here on the left, collapse, expand, and so we'll figure out, working with the vice chair, we'll figure that out. And I wish, you know, what Shannon has set up for the ad hoc committee is amazing. It's on Google Drives, and all three of us can be inputting it at the same time. We cannot.
Oh, we can't, because it's a.
Because we're a legislative body, that would be a quorum. Like, so the buzzer sounds, we get a red card, and yeah, thank you, Shelley. Yeah, I know we're in overtime. So that's the action. And yeah, thank you for your motion to extend. I think that means, oh no, future agenda items. Do we want to add anything else? I'm laughing to the agenda, other than what's in our goals, because we're working on all those things at the next meeting.
Well, no, I'd like to.
Maybe I'm confused, but when we voted on moving the bathroom, what's the next step? Does now everybody's running off and saying the bathroom's in the new location? Or is this gonna be recommended to the board at some future date?
Correct, yeah. So our action is to recommend to the board of directors that the East Branch Community Park restroom be located as designated in what we discussed and agreed.
And then if the public wants to weigh in.
Oh, yeah, we'll hear from, we might hear from Alan again. Odds are really good. We're gonna hear from Alan's spouse. And they're probably of a common mind. And I don't know which way this is gonna go, but there'll be probably a very healthy discussion. So, yes, future agenda items is where we're at.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about projects, because I'm gonna propose a lot of projects for this $10 million. And if no one likes them, I'll just use them myself. Well, that's the deal.
Yes, okay.
Nobody knows what I'm doing. Nobody in CCSD knows what I'm doing. No one in the other outfit knows what I'm doing either.
Well, yeah, right. So an alternative is, as a citizen, you can recommend.
Yes.
But you can bring that to the pros committee. We can advise, we can recommend to the board.
That's what I'd like to do. They should be nodding yes, because I'm gonna put sidewalks over in parking in next to the skate park over there.
So,
and that should be my.
Careful with that one, though.
What's that?
The whole sidewalk issue for the skate park is a big deal.
Let me show you what I'm gonna do, and then you tell me what.
So
Making the kids feel more comfortable.
So Kermit is gonna bring a topic.
Right, let's walk across the street. Okay,
Yeah, so Kermit is gonna bring a future agenda topic at the next meeting to discuss what we want to pressure on the 5-year plan.
That is correct.
Okay. What else?
I just as regards the money, until it gets passed, you can discuss it, but I don't think I don't want to see you guys wasting your time, because I don't think it'll pass.
Oh, I agree with you.
So
But
I hate to see you discussing about what we're gonna do with the 10 million when you will
We
not
won't
get
get the money, we won't get a dime, not a dime, well, at least. We will go to the county and say, hey, instead of having $10 million. Instead of $10 million that they probably pick the number off the top of their head and say, let's do this in Cambria. We can say, hey, how about this location and that location and that location? It's more than $10 million. We're lobbying for that. Well, and the CPF doesn't get a dime. But the county.
I was gonna say, my other point is, they're good projects. We may not get $10 million, I doubt if we are, but it's a good time to articulate them and have them in the kitty for the 5-year plans.
So somebody else in a 5-year plan doesn't, something else, and it has nothing to do with the CPF, by the way. Nothing at all. I don't. But.
So,
someone's got to.
allow me, yeah, we don't move for that. So it is 4:14 p.m. and this meeting of the pros committee is adjourned. Thank you all.
Okay.
Excellent.
Let me see, stop recording.
Our dad.
Back at you.
Back in there.
Got it.
Michael.
Thank you, Steve. Stop recording? Yes.